Hi there, Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com, and I want to thank you so much for joining me for tonight's Connection with Intention. I realized that not only was this really last minute, but also we're on YouTube, and usually we're also on Facebook. So if you found me over here on YouTube, yay, I'm so excited that you're here to join me. It feels like it's been a hot minute since the last time we connected, and of course it has been. It's been quite a while. My plan and intention is that we'll be back and up and running on Facebook. I'm going through lots of renovations on my website as well. So, yeah, there's lots that's happening behind the scenes, and I promise to bring them in front of the scenes as well. Now, I just realized, oh, maybe I can type a message right here. Hold your questions, please. This is still a really new platform for me. Haha, there we go. This is still a really new platform for me. There have been lots of changes that have been going on, so bear with me as we figure things out. Really quickly, I see that Margaret's joined us. Hello, Margaret. It's so good to see you. Thanks for popping on this evening. In a couple of minutes, I'll invite you to post your questions and ask your questions in the comments, but I always like to give people an opportunity rather to hop on the live because sometimes it takes a while to find us and see where we are. So let's talk about what's been happening and what's been going on. The energy has been really intense. There's been so much that's been happening for a lot of people in personal lives, but also in the greater energy that is happening right now as well. There's for many people feelings of instability and uncertainty, and there's a lot energetically that's going on. So let's take a moment to talk about how we can navigate that in the best and highest way possible. I think one of the things that's really come up for me over the last several years in particular, but right now especially, is compassion. Compassion for self. Because if we don't offer ourselves compassion first, it's really difficult to be compassionate with others and the people around us. And at the end of the day, the things that are most important are people. So making sure that we're recognizing, making choices, decisions, and that our actions are following that what is most important right now is people, the health, the well-being of ourselves, the people around us, the people that we love, the people we care about, and also the people that we don't know, because that's really important too. So my hope is that while we're here, while we're in this space, we can connect in really beautiful and meaningful ways. So again, I'm really grateful that you've joined me this evening. Um, every show, I like to take a couple of minutes to do a choose your own adventure, choose your crystal adventure reading, because I know that as much as I want to, and as hard as I'm going to try, I'm not going to be able to get to all of the questions. So if you're watching this, or if you're watching this back, then you have the opportunity to also receive a message and a reading as well. So at the very last minute, because usually I flash up a picture on the screen for you, technology has been challenging recently, my friends. So I brought the real thing, and it just so happens that all of them are hearts. So the way that the Choose Your Adventure crystal reading works is I invite you to ask yourself a question or multiple questions if you'd like. There's no right or wrong here. We can use this multiple times. And as you're asking your question, ask whoever you work with, God, source, universe, angels, ascended masters, whoever, whatever you work with, which message will most resonate with the question that you're asking. So the choices that you have this evening, we have Amazonite and Selenite. It's kind of shiny. There we go. Reflection from my lighting. And Carnelian. Here, actually, this is a better view of the carnelian, I think. So again, we have Amazonite, Selenite, and carnelian. I'm going to try and put them down so that I remember the order. Awesome. And just before I go any further, hello to Tatiana. It's so good to see you. And Margaret's agreeing. Yes, absolutely. Regarding compassion. I don't know. Compassion's such a powerful thing. So, as you're breathing, as you're asking your question, do a check in. Which card best represents what you need to hear, what you need to know right now with regards to the question that you're asking? Sometimes we pull from different decks, but I'm feeling that we're going to pull from just this one deck this evening. So, the first card was for Amazonite, the second for Selenite, and the last card for Carnelian. So, if you've chosen Amazonite to represent your question, your answer, rather, the card that's come up for you is worthiness. Specifically, the message here: know that you deserve to receive good in all ways. One of the things that I love about the imagery on this card, like, not only are we surrounded by pink, which for me is a color of compassion, but we also have the energy of rest that's here. And I know one of the themes that's been coming up for me recently is being worthy of taking rest, of slowing down, of not pushing and not forcing, but allowing yourself to breathe. So, however, worthiness pops up for you, know that it is okay for you to receive, that you are enough as you are and in what you're doing. And I think one of the things that's really important in this message is remembering that we do the best that we can with the resources that we have. And if you're doing the best that you can, then you can't ask for more, and nobody else can ask for more of you either. And so you deserve to be supported. This is really interesting. So if the card, or pardon me, if the crystal that you chose was selenite, the message for you is tranquility. Make time to relax, be still, enjoy your solitude, indulging in much needed self-care. So again, this card is also very much like a time out. Things have been big. There's been a lot that's been going on around you, around us, just in general, but also for you in particular. So slow down, make sure that you're taking that time to rest. Rest can be a lot of different things. I know that I've always thought of rest as being, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to chill, maybe I'm going to read a book. But rest is anything that allows you to recharge. And so, rest can be something that you gain through social connection and activity. It can be something that you experience through creativity, through art projects, or just any project in particular. Rest can manifest in a lot of different ways. So, if you've chosen this card, or if you've chosen this crystal, then the message here is to ask yourself, how can you best be supported in receiving the rest that you need in order to do the things that you need to do to experience the things that you need and want to experience? And then the last crystal, is carnelian. Um, and so if you've chosen carnelian, the card that comes up for you today is contemplation time. Spend time alone, meditating upon what you truly desire. So if this card's come up for you, then the message is really that this is not an active time. We're not out there trying to make things happen. This is a time for reflection and for introspection, to check in and see, hey, like, what best serves me right now? Where is the best place to put my resources? And resources can mean money, and material things, but it also is time and energy and attention. We have resources in so many different ways. One of the things that I find really interesting about all of the cards that have come up this evening, and I think that it speaks to the energy that we're currently in, I used the mermaids and dolphins cards. And the majority of the cards in this deck are about, like, forward movement and how do we deal with that and how do we navigate that. And all of the cards that have come up this evening have had aspects of rest, of slowing down, and where there's a pause in action. And I think that that's really significant to note, that on the overall, energy is feeling intense, and we're being asked to slow down and to check in with ourselves, to connect with our intuition, and to see what is in our best and highest good right now too. So take that to heart, especially if you're in a place where you're feeling overwhelmed or burnout or big emotions of any kind, recognizing that for the next little while, rest is going to be really important, and that rest is as productive and possibly even more productive than many active things can be, because it allows us to come to something fresh with the energy of being renewed, with energy in general. We're not pulling from empty batteries. We're pulling from fully charged and recharged places. So allow yourself to rest, allow yourself to receive, and allow yourself to be supported. Wonderful. Margaret says, beautiful crystals. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you like them. Oops, I've accidentally clicked you there. And Pat, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that we emailed earlier today. I'm so grateful that you've made it, and welcome. So please feel free to ask your questions. Let me just, oops, hold on. Usually I have this all set up and ready, but today we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. There we go. So the questions that are best for me to answer are ones where they're specific. So instead of saying love life, a better question would be, I'm in a relationship. What do I need to know about my love life? What do I need to know about moving forward? Um, Areas that are really awesome for me to connect with. I love talking about romance, relationships in general, family, work, career, business, finances, life path, spirituality. If you have questions about intuition and energy, I love talking about those too. If you've had experiences that you're wanting a bit of clarity on, please drop them in the comments. I'd love to connect with you. Hello to Pat. It's wonderful to see you. And you know what? One of the things that's really cool about being on YouTube, rather than on Facebook, is I get so many people who join us on Facebook that usually the comment section is already flooded by this point with questions. And so if you guys are already here and you're asking questions, chances are we'll get to them tonight. And I'm so excited about that. Wonderful. Okay, so first question is coming from Margaret. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, so Margaret's asking, how will things go when building management checks for a water leak in my condo unit next week? What do I need to know about this? Okay, let's take a look and see. So we're asking about what's going on with leak in the condo and management. What do I need to know? Okay, so first of all, I do see that we definitely have some form of leak, and it feels like there is something that they're going to discover. I'm also wondering, I don't know that you necessarily need to know about this. I'm just going to put your message up just so that I don't lose it as other comments come in, Margaret. Um, I am seeing that they are going to find something. They're showing me that there's something that they're putting on. It almost reminds me of a stethoscope. So that makes me wonder if they're listening for it, to understand exactly where it is. Not necessarily that you need to know that, but just that's what's coming up. It does feel like there is some repair work that's going to be required. I do see them needing to access some of the repair stuff through the unit that you're in. It feels like there is some form of hole that's being cut into a wall or into a space in order to be able to access pipes. I do feel like this is something that's connected to pipe or pipe work. For example, it's not at the faucet. I really wish that I knew more about I really wish that I knew more about plumbing to be able to tell you exactly what I'm seeing. But basically, I'm seeing that there's some water source, so like a faucet, a sink, a tub, something similar. I don't think this is a toilet. This feels like this is fresh water. And it doesn't feel like it's not happening at the socket. It's not happening at the drain. It does feel like it's happening somewhere in through the piping system. So I feel like there's possibly a connection somewhere that's loose. But yeah, so in terms of what you need to know, I'm not seeing anything that you specifically need to know at this point because it doesn't feel like there's any way to prepare for what's coming. I see that as being a positive thing because usually, if the fit was going to hit the shan, they'd be like, okay, you need to do this, 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 and this. I'm not seeing that coming up. So that feels very positive to me. It does feel like there will be work that's happening through your unit, but I feel like it's something that's happening above you as opposed to within your unit yourself. Yeah. So that's what they have coming up. Let's take a look. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck and we're just going to ask, what do you need to know? What does Margaret need to know about the plumbing situation in her condo, in her unit? Um, Relationship harmony. That's interesting. So this is Archangel Raguel's card, and his message is: we angels are opening the hearts of everyone involved. Arguments and conflicts are being resolved now. So I don't see that there is any disharmonious, unharmonious relationship interaction that's happening. Certainly not between you and whoever's above you, where it feels like this leak is originating. It doesn't feel like you're having challenge with management. Though I am seeing that I want to be clear about what it is that I'm asking for. If you're the one who's going to management asking for them to take a look into something, make sure that you're clear about what it is you're experiencing and get as much information about it as you can. So, for example, if you're hearing like dripping or like that's part of the reason that you're getting in touch with them, let them know when you're hearing it dripping and what it sounds like. And if you don't hear it dripping, like mark down those times as well so that they have a better idea of the best time to check in to see what's happening and how things are moving along. Margaret, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. I'm so grateful that you hopped on this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And we're going to ask Archangel Michael to help with finding the leak as well. He just popped in and said, hey, he'd help. So awesome. Sending lots of love your way. Awesome. Okay, next we have Paula. Hi, Paula. Great to see you. Question about Simon and moving. When will he find a new place? Okay. Um, that's a great question. I keep seeing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it does feel like there's a little bit of a delay that's happening. It's not happening right away. I'm having a hard time seeing if this 1, 2, 3 is coming up around like a 3 week or a 3 month. And I really don't want it to be 3 months because it feels like he's ready to be making a move and to get into um, the next space. So what do we have? Do we have the beginning of August? Because that would certainly make a lot of sense if we're looking 3 weeks out. That would take us into the beginning of August. So I'm just going to ask. I get a confirmation on the beginning of August. So, but it's interesting because that almost feels too fast. What are we saying about that? The beginning of August is significant. Is that actually when he's moving? I don't think so. Is that when he's getting confirmation about when he's getting his space? I think that that's what's happening. So the next 3 weeks do feel like they're significant. I want to encourage him to make sure that he's looking for places and for where he wants to be. It feels like we're finding that place the beginning of August, and then there's move in that happens after that. So it does feel like it's coming up fairly quickly, that he's got things coming together. One of the things that I want to do is I want to really take a look at the area that he wants to be in, as well as have some criteria for what he's looking for in the home that he's going to be moving into. So what are the things that are important? Is it important for him to have in unit laundry or laundry that's accessible in the building that he's in? Is it important for him to have parking? So make sure that he has a list of all of those things. I'm seeing that there is something that's going to be on the list that feels like it's a little bit of like a push. Possibly it could be helpful to have a list of needs and then a list of would really love and then a list of wants, because it feels like there might be some things in the want that are he might not be getting, but having the list and the criteria does feel like it's helpful. And also breaking it down like that, prioritizing it so that the things that are important can be fulfilled and the things that he would love to have or he would want to have may not have as much weight, to make sure that he's still able to find something that fits on the levels that he absolutely needs to have. Yeah, and I do see him looking in really good spots as well. So let's take a look, and let's just ask the messages from your angels. What messages are coming up for Simon around finding his new space? Oops, what do we need to know? We had 3 cards flip out, so I'm gonna be really quick with them. The first card is Crystal. Have faith and hope because there is something positive and new on the horizon that you just can't see yet. So I don't know if he's been looking for a while or if he's been concerned about this, but this card says, hey, like things might not be happening right at this moment, but they are coming together. So don't be too concerned about it because it will happen. It is coming together. On the heels of that card, we have the Omega card, and this is all about victory. Your desire is coming to fruition. Keep up the good work. This is amazing. This card basically says, hey, we hear what it is that you've been asking for. We're helping you, we're supporting you, and it is coming together and faster than you realized. So, especially on the heels of that crystal card, it's lovely to have Omega coming in. And I love that Archangel Gabriel has popped in here as well. This particular card deck has 44 cards, and of those 44 cards, only 4 of them are Archangel cards. So it's always significant to me when an Archangel card pops out. You have an important life purpose involving communication and the arts. Please don't allow your insecurities to hold you back. I will help you. This may be true about the work that Simon is doing or is going to do, but with this particular question, I think that it actually really underscores the last message that we had about the importance of him writing down what it is that he's looking for, what it is that he wants in his new home. And also, if any of the applications that he's putting in has a spot where he can write about himself, to make sure that it's something that's well written, and that possibly would be something that he would have you take a look at or have somebody else take a look at to make sure that he comes across well as being a respectable person. But just that communication is going to be really important. And also to add clear communication to what he's looking for with any people that he may be interacting with in or around the space that he's going to be living in. Paula, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. So we have Tanya next. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for joining us. Oh, hold on. I think that I've missed part of your question here. So let me see. Tell him. Did he even listen? Hold on. I'm having a hard time seeing just what we're talking about here. So, actually, I'm having a bit of a hard time because it looks like we've got 3 or 4 different messages that have come in. Do you think, Tanya, you could ask your question in one comment, please, so that I can read it from the top to the bottom? Because there are lots of it and lots of different pieces, and I think that I've also missed the beginning part of the question. It looks like it didn't post. And what I'll do is after I answer the next question, I will look for your question, and you will be up next, regardless of who is coming up after the next question. Awesome. Oh, wonderful, Margaret. I'm so glad that it was helpful. Thank you so much. It's always great to hear that. Pat, hi, Pat. It's great to connect with you. Pat says, I care for pets, had surgery with 5 months of immobility. I'm back, but at less amount of work, determined by the pet owner. I'm concerned about finances. Will you get your full schedule back, or will you work elsewhere? Okay. So I just want to make sure that I have everything here. You've had surgery and you've been off for 5 months is what it sounds like. You haven't been mobile, but it sounds like you're getting back to work. Let me see. Yes, you are back at work, but at less of an amount of work. And that's been determined by your pet owner, concerned about finances. Okay. So when I ask, what they're showing me is like 2 to 4. So I don't know exactly what how often you were working before. What I'm seeing feels like it's based on a typical kind of 5-day work week. So keep that in mind if that isn't as often as you're working. So they're showing me 2 to 4, which to me would be 22, or pardon me, would be 40 to 80% of your work. So it feels like we're getting somewhere in there back, but that we're not getting back to the full 5 days, or to the full 100%. I think that's the best way to give this. When I ask if that's going to increase, I get kind of a flip flop, a back and forth. I don't feel like that is something that you can count on, or that is guaranteed. In part, it feels like either the owners have had to find someone else while you were off, or their resources aren't what they were when you went off, and they're making changes from that perspective. This doesn't feel like this has to do with the quality of care that you've provided. It feels like it has to do with other circumstances that you don't have control over. So I want to be really clear about that. Um, when I ask about finances, and I ask about where that money's coming in, it does feel like there are other people that you will be working for, other pets that you'll be working with. So whether this is something that you're doing on the side, or whether this is something, is this something? I don't feel like it's something that's organized for you. It does feel like it's something that you're organizing for yourself. Um, yes. So I want to say that it feels like it's something that's possibly happening on the side, and it's happening around the other work that you currently have that you've gone back to. So this is something more that's coming up, something new. It feels like this is in part word of mouth, but I also feel like we've got some sort of sign or poster with like a phone number, which in this day and age feels like it's really retro. But I love that that's how you're connecting, because it doesn't feel like you're connecting through technology. It feels like it's on like oh, what are they called? Like a street post, or on a bulletin board at at a local like community store or a pet store, somewhere where people who have pets are going to be frequenting, that you know that they'll be there. So I do see some sort of signage that's coming out for that. It does feel like there's really steady and reliable income that's coming through that. The other message that I have, I'm not sure where your surgery was, but I'm feeling something kind of in through like my hip, or possibly down into like knees. And it feels like this is something that will be helpful for the recovery that you're going through as well. So I'm seeing that as being a positive. The other thing that's kind of popping up is I'm seeing like multiple leashes, which is making me wonder if you're able to kind of bring several several different pets together for the service that you're offering, because there does feel like there's some form of walking that's happening, but I do see that there's other care that you're doing as well. So I don't know if this is like a shift in part of the services that you're offering, but it does feel like there is something else that's happening. It is still pet and animal related, because it feels like you have an affinity for pets, and they really respond well to you. They show me that they behave well for you as well, because there's a lot of love that's there. So I do see you continuing to work with pets and animals. Financially, when I ask when things are popping up, what I see is kind of like rumble strips. So that shows me that there's still a little bit of up and down that's coming up, but we're not talking about great big huge speed bumps either. So that's perfect. We still have a little bit of up and down. So that says to me we've got a little bit of uncertainty, probably as you're bringing in more clients or more people that you're working with. And then it feels like everything kind of balances off, it levels off. When I ask when that leveling off is happening, I'm getting kind of a 6-week time frame. So we're going into sometime in August, possibly into the early part of September. But at that point, things feel like they're smooth sailing. So it's not that there won't be an increase that's happening during that time, but that's the point when you're like, okay, now this is starting to work. It's starting to make sense, and it's going to work for me. We're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask Pat, what do you need to know about financial recovery? That's what I'm hearing. What do you need to know about financial recovery and how that's going to happen, what that's going to look like? So, oh, beautiful. Actually, we have to pull a second card when this card comes up because it's basically a clarifying card. Um, so the first card that we pulled for you, it's the Divine Magic card. Specifically, it says extra magical energy surrounds your situation right now and expect miracles. So when this card comes up, it basically amplifies the messages of all of the cards around it. It's kind of like cheering you on. It's like, yes, you're there. It's happening. It's coming together. Let's do this. So it's a really exciting card to get. And I had to get another card to see to see what exactly we were clarifying. And the card that we get here is the Playtime card. The dolphins know the importance of playing as joy creates miracles and manifestation. So, first of all, I love that in the two cards that came out for you, both of them speak to miracles and things just happening, things just coming together. So, that's incredibly positive and uplifting. The other thing that comes up is playtime feels like it's outside of what you're currently doing because I'm feeling like a lot of worry and a lot of concern, which makes a lot of sense. I'm not coming down on you about that by any means because it's really easy to get into how am I going to do this? How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to support myself? Like those are very real questions, and very valid questions and concerns. The message that's coming up for you is basically saying trust that this is happening and move out of that mindset through play, through joy. So, with the pets that you are connecting with, make sure that you allow yourself to be playful with them, to experience the joy of spending time with them and really enjoy that. Because as you do that, that raises your energy and your vibration, and it brings you into a place where it's easier for you to receive other similar types of experiences, which is at the end of the day what we're wanting. So the overall message that I have is that things are coming together, to trust that things are happening, to make sure that you're not getting stuck in worry and stuck in fear, but expecting that things are going to shift. And sometimes that shift in expectation that things are going to happen is all that we need to start feeling and experiencing that. So it is coming together. Make sure that you find time for play and to do things that you enjoy. And Pat, I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined us this evening. And thank you so much for hopping on the show today, on News for the Soul. It was such a pleasure connecting with you tonight. And I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Pat, hello. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. This is a different Pat. Should my son and family sell and buy a bigger place or hold on and make do for now? Okay, so let's just switch gears here. We're taking a look at your son and his family and what they should be doing about their house and their housing. Oh, okay. So as soon as I tap in, there is something that feels like it's really frustrating and irksome. I'm having a hard time not paying attention to this thing. It feels like it's sitting here. It feels like it's driving me a little bit crazy. So, to me, when this comes up, usually it has to do with space or it has to do with location. Or I suppose it could also be a financial pressure as well. But there is something that feels like it's just sitting there. And I already feel like I've been kind of been making do with what's there. And I feel like I'm just ready. I'm not sure that this is, I mean, possibly this is something that your son is experiencing. I'm kind of wondering if he has a partner, if this is maybe something that his partner is experiencing. But either way, I am feeling like I don't want to wait, even if it maybe makes sense from other perspectives, because this thing feels like it's really starting to get under my skin and is really irritating. So then let me ask, if we wait, can we um, can we maintain the relationship is what I'm hearing. So this may have a greater level of frustration and annoyance than I realized. So I am feeling a really big push to make a change. Um, when I ask about finding the place that's best and right for them, it does feel like there's something that's available. Then they start kind of popping in. Well, let's ask about money and finances. Financially, does it make a sense both from the sale of the home and I'm assuming the purchase? Yes, the purchase of a new home. Does that financially make sense? And what I get is kind of like a meh. Like it feels like whether it's done now, whether it's done 6 months from now, whether it's done a year from now, that it feels like it's about the same. That if the property value goes up, then so too does the property value of the home that they're looking at. If their property value goes down, so too does the value of the home that they're looking at. So it feels like it's within this next year that isn't going to change significantly enough in either direction for it to make sense to sell now or not to sell now. So that doesn't feel like that's actually a deciding factor. The bigger one feels like, is this something that we can make do with for the amount of time that we're going to have to be here? Or is it time for the next thing? And even though a lot of the messages that were coming up were indicating that, oh my gosh, like this needs to change, I am seeing and hearing that whoever is being frustrated and annoyed by this, that they can wait. That the list of what it is that they're looking for, it's more important that they get what they want as opposed to getting out of where they are. In terms of, the timeline, I feel like this is a change that's happening within the coming 6 months. So if there are kids and like school, for example, that are coming up as a concern and a consideration, I'm feeling sooner rather than later. But it feels like this change is something that's happening by February, March of next year. So for however that looks for them. And it does feel like it ends up being a good move overall. Like they're showing me locations good, like the space feels like it's good. Financially, as I said, it feels like it's kind of a wash, whether they do it now or they do it later. So all of those things feel like they're happening. I do want to encourage them to take a look now. But if they're able to wait until March, then it feels like that will work for them and for their family too. We're going to go to the archangels and we're just going to ask, what do Pat's son and his family need to know about moving and selling their home? Oh, there were two that kind of popped out there. So the first one that popped out is the spiritual understanding card. This is Archangel Raziel. His message is, I am bringing you esoteric information and symbols and helping you understand spiritual truths. So what that says to me is that there's probably something that's still needing to be learned and still needing to be understood with the home that they're in. So again, like I feel like there's some pressure to make change, and that the new home, the new space, whatever it is that's causing the pressure, that may alleviate some of the challenge that's being experienced, but that there could be something more that they're needing to learn about that before they shift their space. So that is also at play. And then the second card is the crystal clear intentions card, and this is Archangel Michael, and his message is, be clear about what you desire and focus upon it with unwavering faith. And I'm kind of reminded of the message that we had for Paula earlier for Simon, and writing down the needs, the would love to have, and the wants. And it feels like that list is also going to be important and significant for your son and his family. Like, what is it that we absolutely need, that we absolutely have to have? What is it that would make our lives easier, that it would contribute to our lives, but maybe isn't a make or break? And then what are the additional things that we want to have and that we want to experience, but, again, maybe not be really big things. And it feels like shifting that energy and that focus helps to bring in the opportunities. And again, once depending on how they decide to do this, whether they're deciding to sell their home first or buy their home and then sell their home, however it ends up happening, it feels like having that really clear list also helps them with the whole sale and purchase process. Pat, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and to your son and his family too. Awesome. Paula, you are so welcome. Omega for the win. Absolutely. Love to you too. Okay, let me see. So Tanya has here. Okay. All right. So the questions that I have, because I did say that I was going to go to Tanya next because we had to skip over her. Should I tell him that my feelings are hurt, interacting, fun and flirty, spilled the spiritual celibacy practice, and then later a spicy message and he fell off asleep, got busy with work again, admitted he didn't listen and was sad about it. But if he listened and didn't say anything, then my feelings are hurt. If he still hasn't listened, then my feelings are hurt, but maybe less. Pushover, supportive, let it go, so stressed, and maybe it's just not a big deal. What do I need to know to act compassionately, yet still speak gently and stand in my worthiness and honesty? Okay, all right, let's take a look. So basically, we're looking at relationship, romance, partnership, and what do we need to know about what's happening and what's going on with your current partner. Um, when I connect with your partner, I'm feeling a tiredness and an overwhelm. And what he's showing me is that in the scheme of his overall life, which feels like this relationship is kind of here because that's literally what he has the capacity for. Um, and it feels like from his perspective, what he's feeling and is experiencing is that um there's a call to engage more and to interact more and to be present more. And what he's showing me is that he doesn't have the capacity for that. The question feels like it then becomes, how do I interact and engage with that? Where do I go? How do I approach this? The sense that I have is of a pulling back and kind of matching the energy that he has. You continuing to try to engage is not going to bring him out further. It feels like it will actually push him further away, because again, the capacity that he has is just this. And if you need this and he has this, then what he can offer is this. So it feels like that's kind of part of where it is. If you can be okay with this and you feel that you're being honored and that your needs are being met and fulfilled, both within this relationship partnership and outside of that, because we know that all of our needs can't be supported by our partner. We need to support our needs in a variety of different ways through work and social and friends and family. And there are a lot of different things that contribute to that. If your needs can be supported outside of that and this works for you and that's okay for right now, then continue. But he's showing me that for right now and for the foreseeable future, this is what he has to share and what he has to offer, regardless of what his wants and desires may be. That is what he has. um and I'm feeling when I connect with that, I'm feeling a lot of things. First of all, I'm feeling a sense of heartache and heartbreak because I feel like there is a really strong connection between the two of you, and especially with what you're feeling and experiencing, there is a strength of connection and bond that's happening there. There's a feeling of, well, I can put off what I need, and I can put off what I need, and I can put off what I need in order to support what he needs. Part of what's popping up for me is whether or not that's actually what you need in the long term. Um, Part of what I'm also hearing is that he's showing me that there's no guarantee that, despite the fact that there's a lot of care, there's a lot of connection that he feels and experiences as well, that he can't guarantee anything, and that the compromises that you're making may be long-term compromises, because he's showing me that he's not sure when this could become this in the grand scheme of this. And what he's showing me is that, when he does have time, energy, space, resources, whatever it is that he doesn't have right now, it comes in really small increments. It doesn't come like this. And it feels like it's a coming into How can I have compassion with myself and what I need? I love that you asked about the compassion aspect. What do I need to know to act compassionately, yet still speak gently and stand to my worthiness and with honesty? And it feels like actually that's the conversation that you need to have with yourself first, because he's created the expectation or the boundary. He's let you know where he is, and it feels like that conversation is the one that you need to have with yourself first. My worthiness, the compassion that I have for me, is this something that I have to share, to offer, to give to somebody else while still being able to maintain myself, my own needs, and to thrive in my life? And that's something that only you have the answer to. That's a question that only you have the answer to. And part of what I'm hearing is that it feels like this might be a bigger overall life lesson that's kind of coming up, not only as it applies to relationship and partnership, but also as it relates to other relationships and energy and passion and the things that you love. It feels like part of this is coming into focus in what is it that I have to share? What is it that I have to give? And still be able to maintain what it is that I need. Let's take a look and see what messages are coming up for you from the angels. So with the Archangel Oracle card deck, and the card that we have here is the Overcoming Difficulties card. This is Archangel Jeremiel. His message is: the worst is now behind you, and you are surmounting any previous challenges. So one of the things, again, like I go back to the message that this is overall, that this is some life lesson work. This isn't just a little, this isn't just a little bit of a thing. This is actually a big thing. So I kind of almost want to take him out of the equation, because it feels like he's not actually part of the equation anymore. I mean, I know that you're asking about him, but it feels like we're going back more to: what is it that I need? What is it that I want? How is it that I'm supporting that? And this is, you're overcoming the previous challenges. You can still give and give freely within that, and still take care of yourself and allow yourself to be cared for by others too. But it feels like this piece in focusing on that supportive self, that this is the lesson that's here, and it ripples out to all other aspects, all other relationships in life. And that is where the overcoming of difficulties is coming from. Because as that shift happens within yourself, then it feels like the connections that you have with other people, including this person, start to open up, and that there ends up being more to give and to receive, because you have more of what it is that you need. Tanya, I am so grateful that you not only joined us, but came back and helped to clarify the question so I could understand more. And again, my apologies for missing out on the questions that you had asked earlier and how it came through. So thank you for that. It is always a pleasure to connect with you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, lots of energy, and I want to say romance angels too. May romance angels come and help and support you through this as well. Lots of love. Okay, let me see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anyone. Uh, Pat says yes, 3 days a week and then down to 2 weeks now. And I think that I saw something else. Yes, that their resources have changed. It's your main work, but also pet portrait artist. Oh, and feel the need to get that going. Absolutely, 100%. Yes, bring that in. That's incredible. And flyers are your speed. That's awesome. I'm so incredibly excited about that for you, Pat. Thank you for clarifying. Awesome. Melissa, hello. It's so good to connect with you. Thanks for joining us. My friend who passed years ago has been coming up lately, and I keep saying his name in random places. Is he trying to send me a message? Yes. Absolutely, 110%. He is trying to send you messages, and to connect with you. Whenever we see signs, whenever we see little bits and pieces of things that remind us of somebody or remind us of something, it is a sign, especially given the circumstances that you've described, that this is a friend who passed several years ago. So this isn't something that's fresh, where the person is constantly on our mind because we're still coming to terms with the grief and the love that we're not able to share with them, or that we have to share with them in a different way. The fact that there's been time and space, and now your friend is popping into your head, you're thinking about him and you're seeing his name in different places. He's absolutely wanting to let you know that he's around, that he's close by, and that he's connecting with you. um, and when I ask, he keeps showing me creating. Initially, I happen to know Melissa fairly well, and I know that she is a very creative person, especially with her hands. And so initially, he showed me some of the types of projects that you create, but then he showed me music as well. So I feel like there's something that he's pulling you and calling you to do, whether it's just reminding you of, hey, like the awesome times we had together, and remember when. I have lots of that kind of energy that's coming up, but it also feels like he's trying to lead you and guide you to something as well. He's showing me that, remember that time, and remember how exciting that was, remember how good it felt. And then, that thing that you've been thinking about, or that thing that's been kind of in the back of your mind that you haven't been sure about, or that thing that you've been putting off to the side. Now would be a really good time. Now would be a really good time to start thinking about that, to start exploring that. Remember that dream that we had? We always said we were going to. He's showing me that that's a big part of what's coming up. He's wanting to talk to you about dreams. He's wanting to talk to you about creativity and taking action. And he's saying that now is the time to start really to start thinking about that, to start looking at, how would I do that? How would I bring that together? And I'm not exactly sure who the planner is, if it's you or if it's him, but he's showing me, like, we don't have to nail this down. Like, we don't have to have the plan in place. He's showing me that we just want to think about it a little bit and just like daydream. What would it be like if? What would it look like if I looked into doing that, or I looked into trying this thing, or even if it's just a mental exercise or a visualization exercise. He's showing me that, like, now's the time to start playing. And playing really is coming to the forefront with him too. I'm having a hard time telling if play was something that was significant for him, or if that's what he's kind of saying, hey, like, both of us need to have some more playtime in our lives. And that's the thing that I really wish that I'd done more of. I can't tell where he's coming at this from, but that's a big part that's coming up for me from him, is, hey, like, play and have fun and try those things, and don't let it stop you. His energy is feeling really light, and again, I'm not 100% sure if that's how he was while he was here, or if that's what he is moving towards, but it is coming. It is coming. It is coming. What does Melissa need to know? We're going to keep this really open, but also have the intention that this is message that's coming from him as well. And you know what's so ironic is, after all of those action kinds of messages, he's saying to wait. Don't rush into action right now, which I do agree with. Bide your time for better results. So again, like, we're not making like the steadfast plans. We're thinking about things. We're wondering about things. We're allowing things to percolate, to play. What would it be like if? And he's showing me that this is this is the planting of the seed. This exercise in, what would it be like? I haven't thought about doing that in such a long time. What would it look like if? That's what he's saying we need to be doing. We need to start putting some energy into asking those questions. Because that helps to invite in the opportunities that we can choose to pursue if we want. Melissa, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Where are we going next? Do, 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 do. Let me see. Pat, you're wonderful too. I'm so glad that you joined us this evening. And also to the other Pat. Pat's also saying that she's going to pass on the message to her son. That's awesome. And Tatiana says, I'm going to see it through. Beautiful. Yes. I'm so glad that you're feeling good in that choice and that decision. I encourage you to. Danielle, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful. Margaret, it's my pleasure. I'm so grateful that you came on this evening. Let me see. So Danielle, thank you so much for asking a question. So Danielle says that she's going through a huge transformation out of space, specifically recovering from a 2.5 year head injury and just completed return to work. Congratulations. That's exciting. Separating, selling house. Oh my gosh, there is so much that's going on in your life. Let's take a look. So you're asking, will the house sell at asking price, better marketing strategies, time frame, rent or repurchase? Will the split be amicable, or will the funds get held up? Okay, let me see what I can do with what you've asked. So kind of starting off with things, let's see. Yeah, we've got lots of transformation and transition. Obviously, you're very you're very right and accurate about that. There is a lot that's changing. There is a lot that's shifting. And I feel like I'm finally starting to get my feet under me. So even though there is a lot that's going on around you, there's a lot of uncertainty. I'm feeling like you're feeling more grounded and centered in yourself. It also feels like you have a greater amount of control over what's happening. And after feeling really untethered, I think is the way that I want to say it. It feels like now I feel like I'm starting to kind of clunk in. It reminds me of people walking in outer space, and when they kind of and then like they're sticking to the space station or whatever it is that they're walking on, like they were floating, then boom, now we're able to walk across the platform. I feel like that's where you are. So I want to celebrate that with you because it has not been easy to come to this point. And you've worked really hard, and a lot of things have shifted and changed in your world, choices that you've made to allow that to come to fruition and to allow that to happen. When I ask about will the house sell at asking price, I feel like you're getting really close to it. They're showing me something that looks like it's a 20,000 ish dollar difference. So I feel in the grand scheme of things that that's pretty close to the asking price that you have. When let me see, are there better strategies, better marketing strategies? I don't know if this is currently a strategy that's being used because I'm not aware of the market with where you are and just kind of what's happening. But I want to discourage you from putting the price down low to create like multiple bids and multiple offers. It does not feel like that's going to happen, and it doesn't feel like that's going to work. And I am seeing you listing your home basically at the price that you are hoping to get it for. So I don't see you like inflating it because you know that you're going to have to negotiate down. It feels like you're going in pretty close to like your best price and what it is that you're wanting. As I said, it does feel like there is a little bit of adjustment and a little bit of wiggle room that happens there, but it feels like the best strategy to not only get the most from it, but also to bring bring it to a conclusion so you can start moving forward. Feels like it has to do with like let's get this sold at the price that we know that we're going to sell for, that we know we're going to be happy and comfortable with. The next question that you have, time frame, rent or repurchase, and will things be amicable? Rent or repurchase. Actually, no, first we're going to go into time frame, timeline. Um, it feels like once you decide that you're going to sell, I'm seeing like a 2 to 3 month timeline before things are closing. So that says to me that you have some activity that's happening on your house pretty quickly. So the market feels like it's pretty stable. The price that you're asking for feels like it's pretty reasonable and decent. As I said, I'm definitely not seeing you going up really high, and I'm not seeing you going really low. I'm seeing you pricing it kind of where you're expecting or hoping to get the money from. The other thing that's popping in is make sure you have a couple of real estate agents pop through and ask them to tell you what they would list the property for, what they think the property is worth, and where they would recommend you sell. And it feels like all three of those things are really important questions and information, because that's also going to tell you how your real estate agent is going to advise you when it does come time to accept an offer, and or to look at changing the pricing if that comes up. But it feels to me like you've got about a 3-month timeline once you decide to list the property. So that means that in that time we have showings, we have offer that's accepted, and we have closing. So that feels like that's a relatively short amount of time once you guys decide to list. When I ask about what you're doing after, I'm having a hard time saying whether or not you're repurchasing or if you're going to rent. There's part of me that's like, hop right back into the market and get yourself settled. But I feel like there are still some transitionary pieces that are happening, and what you are wanting and needing may be different 6 months after the sale closes. So, um, I kind of want to encourage you to take a look at renting for a short amount of time, and to make sure that what you want to move into now is the same as what you're wanting to move into 6 months from now. Because again, like, I feel like there's a change that's coming up. I can't tell what it is, but there is a change in criteria in that need, would love to have, and want kind of list. So there are some changes that are happening there. And then the last question that you had asked was, will the split be amicable, or will funds get held up? I'm seeing you doing a lot of work around that, because that does feel like that's kind of up in the air, and I'm not getting a straightforward answer for you. So I'm excited about that, because the straightforward answer feels like there probably would be some challenge in that. But the fact that it's not clear at this point tells me that there's still some things that could help to influence that to the better, so that things are amicable, and so that things aren't being held up either. I have a lot of justice and fairness that's coming up as well. And part of what I'm feeling is a need on your part to make sure that you are being fair to both people, and that both of you aren't allowing the emotion to come in. And if at all possible, coming into the place of, this is somebody that at one point I loved and I cared about very deeply, and I saw spending the rest of my life with them. And if both of you can come to that point in navigating moving out of the situation, moving out of the relationship and partnership, it feels like you guys can create a really amicable shift and change. Yeah, we're going to go to the Archangel Oracle cards. And I'm just going to ask, what do you need to know right now, Danielle? There's so many things that we touched on there, but what do you most need to know about right now, moving forward? Um, we have the You Know What to Do card. This is Archangel Uriel. His message is, oops, I'm having a hard time seeing here. Trust your inner knowledge and act upon it without delay. One of the things that I love about Uriel popping up here is Archangel Uriel helps us from a mental and emotional point of view with healing. And anytime that we have a relationship that isn't following the course and the path that we expected when we first started that relationship, there tends to be stuff that's kind of clouding that. There's grief for the dreams that we had, possibly not for the loss of the person themselves, because often once we hit this point, like, we're done. But the loss of what we dreamt life was going to be with that person. And also, I mean, from other perspectives as well, there's been a lot of change in your life. So Archangel Uriel is popping in and saying, "Hey, like I'm helping. I want to help you. I want to support you in this transformation, in this healing, in this recovery." And it feels like that's where a lot of the focus is still continuing to go. I know that you've come through a huge amount of healing to come to this point, and he's showing me that there's still a bit of work. There's still a bit of work that you're doing, but also celebrating what you've done to come to this point, to get to this point. So you know what to do. And also make sure that you're focusing on mental and emotional health and well-being too. Um, ooh, that just got a little bit spicy. I also just heard that, yeah, you've been doing the work. You've been doing a lot of work, and not everybody has been doing the work that you've been doing. And I can certainly appreciate that too. And want to send you a lot of extra love and a lot of extra support, because it can be really challenging, especially when it feels like you're the only one who's doing the work moving forward. And to celebrate that it will not be that long before you don't have to be doing the work for anybody else too. And Danielle, I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined us this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, lots of support your way. And I hope you pop back and let me know how it goes. Awesome. I think that we've come to the time. Hold on just a second. I feel like there's somebody else who's asking a question. Let me see. Pat just shared. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much for sharing my name. Um, and Pat's asking, how often am I here on YouTube? You know what? It's been several months since I've been on. Typically I'm on at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific time on Tuesday evenings. It's going to be a couple of weeks because I've got some family visiting. I'm so excited to see them. So my hope is that I'll be back on in August, and I will definitely start posting on Facebook and on YouTube to let people know more often. The other thing, and I'll post a YouTube video about this. So if you haven't already, subscribe and follow so you get the notifications. I am going to be setting up an email newsletter because as things are shifting and changing, as I'm moving away from Facebook and looking at other platforms, I want to make sure that people can find the lives when I do them. So I will be starting an email newsletter so that people can find that. Awesome. Danielle, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. I'm so grateful that you popped on. Amazing, amazing. Tanis, hello. It's so good to see you. I'm so grateful to connect with you today. And Ishika, hi. Thanks for joining. Ishika asks, I was fired abruptly, without valid reason, and now my company is justifying it with false claims in the termination letter and denying my severance pay. And I see you've got another message here. I have proof against some of it, and I'm consulting a lawyer friend. Do you think this could go in my favor and help me get my severance money? Yes, absolutely. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, possibly 4, and these feel like these are hoops that you are jumping through or have jumped through. So it feels like it's not a straightforward process, but it is worth doing. I feel like you've already got a lot of what is required for the first and possibly even the second hoop that you're going through. And that has to do with the documentation that you have. So that is feeling like that's really positive, and I am seeing that there's some support that's coming there. I'm not 100% sure what the next 2 or possibly 3 hoops are, but it does feel like it's worthwhile doing. They are showing me that there's a bit of time. So I don't know if this is a backlog with mediation. Uh, but I'm glad that you have a lawyer friend, because part of what I'm getting is that your lawyer friend is going to be able to send them something that basically makes them decide that it's better to settle than it is to go and look at court or something else along those lines. So I do see that as being the next step, which feels like it's supportive, but I do see you definitely having solid case. And I feel like there is something that's really positive that comes with this. If for some reason they decide not to acquiesce to the initial letter that goes through, it feels like there are other people that you know of, whether you know specifically or not, that the company has done as well, and it has done this too as well, I should say. And it feels like you're able to connect with them, and that there's a bigger suit that comes up against them. So I suspect that that's the potential last hoop that I wasn't sure if it was going to be there or not. My hope is that this letter that your lawyer friend is sending off is going to be enough for them to say it's not worth our time to go through this, and we're just going to pay out the severance and anything else you may ask for, because I'm seeing that there could be a bit of wiggle room with that as well. Not that I would suggest that you're blackmailing them. That I wasn't expecting that, but more that it feels like there could be something that's put in there that feels like it's about 10%, like a pain and suffering. I do see that that is a possibility to throw that in there. And your lawyer friend feels fairly smart for doing that and including that. That gives you a little bit of negotiating wiggle room. But I do see you definitely getting your severance from it. Let me Let's just see. We're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask, what does Ishika need to know about getting her severance? There we go. Self-employment. That's a really interesting card to come on the heels of this, because that was not what we were asking about. But the message that we have here, you're a born entrepreneur and your business is surrounded by magical opportunities. So there are a couple of different ways that I would take this. One, that we are actually going to something that's a little bit bigger. So, if they kind of lowball you and they don't come back with an amount that's comparable to the severance that you should have received, it feels like you do take this forward. What that tells me is it's probably going to be something that takes a lot of your time and your energy, but it does again feel like it's worthwhile. And I see this being something that you split with other people. So not only is there a settlement that's being split, and it's appropriate for the number of people involved, but also that there's help and support that comes with that. The other aspect is, now that you are um, that you don't have a job, that there is something else that you're going to be taking on. I do see you finding other work and job, and it feels like that's something that happens fairly quickly. But they're also showing me that there's the potential for you to start something on the side as well, that's just bringing in a little bit of extra, that again is kind of helping to passion, pad and cushion things until your settlement does come in and does come back through. So I do see that there's lots of support for you in this situation, and it does feel like you are getting your severance and possibly more out of this as well. So I'm really excited for you. Ishika, I'm so incredibly grateful that you popped on this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, yes. And I see here. Awesome. Yes. If it gets really bad, then you'll send legal notice. Perfect. And you have 3 people that you got in touch with yesterday. Absolutely good. Yes. And so you can ask for more. Absolutely. Oh, and very quickly, do I have a timeline on it? I have a couple of different timelines, because it feels like there are a couple of different outcomes. The overall that I'm getting is, it feels like we've got about a 4-month on this. If we have to, only 4 months if you have to go further. That kind of surprises me. That doesn't feel like that's right. Um, Unless there's some sort of mediation. So, like, the worst case scenario that I'm seeing is that either they deny you or they lowball you on what they're choosing to offer to you as severance. So then it feels like you say, okay, well, I know that there are others, because I feel like there are others who have gone through this exact same experience with your company, and it feels like you could together create a suit that goes against them. So the next kind of timeline that I see with that feels like we're a couple of months out, because it takes a little bit to get all of those pieces together, and then you send something off to them. So the next possible timeline for that is about 2-3 months out. And they could come back and say, hey, like, we don't want to deal with this, and we're happy to make this go away, and we will write all of you a check. That feels like that's, as I said, kind of about 2 months. The other one feels like, I mean, a letter could go off next week and they could come back and they could say, hey, like, that's it, we're done. So this feels like this could be finished as soon as, the next couple of weeks. I do see that there's a possibility that we're looking a couple months out. And then I am surprised that if they don't accept that and they say, okay, well, that's fine, we'll take you to court. I'm really surprised that that looks like a 4-month timeline, because that doesn't feel like that's long enough. But it could be that that's when they decide, maybe they're calling your bluff and they're like, okay, we'll make it go away. So I feel like overall, worst case scenario, we have about a 4-month timeline. But my hope is that it doesn't come to that point. It doesn't get to that point, and you and anybody else involved will be able to move on far sooner than that. I'm so grateful that you asked that and that I was able to see it too. Usually when I'm on Facebook, the messages are coming in so quickly and I don't get to the people who checked in at the very end. So I'm loving YouTube for that. I'm so grateful that we were able to do that. Ishika, I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And I hope that this is resolved quickly for you. Well, my friends, we've come to the end of our time, the end of our evening here. It has been such a pleasure connecting with you. I am so incredibly grateful that each and every one of you went out of your way to find me here this evening to connect. It was such a pleasure to do it again, and I am looking forward to the next time. As I said earlier, there will be a YouTube video or a YouTube announcement of some sort that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks with an email newsletter. So if you want to know when I'm going to be going live again, so that you can hop on and ask questions or just kind of join in the community fun and vibe, then I can let you know and keep you posted about that. So if you haven't already, subscribe and follow to my YouTube channel here, Heavenly Messenger. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, feel free to follow me over there. I post different things on there as well, and we'll also definitely let people know when I'm going live there too. On Facebook, you can find me. I'm Heavenly Messenger there, and I think it's Psychic and Angel Card Readings or something like that with Erin Lee. But you'll know that it's me because I have had a couple of people trying to spoof my account. I have over 1,000 followers on my page, and any spoofing account will not have that. So if you're on Facebook, check me out there. And also I'm on Instagram as well as Heavenly Messenger. And I don't have nearly as many followers there. Awesome. I am so grateful that you all joined me. If you want to connect for your own personal reading, I have a couple of openings this coming week, and then a couple a little later in July, and then into August, as I have family that's coming to visit over the next little bit. So I won't be working as often. You can schedule an appointment with me through bookingwitherin.com. I am on the West Coast of Canada, but do offer times all across the globe, and I'm sure that we can find a time to connect. Until the next time, I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and blessings to you and yours. And again, remember,